To the index now, new images from the wreck of the Titanic show changes to the famous ship. A 15-foot section of the portside railing has fallen to the ocean floor. Scientists say it is a reminder that the Titanic is deteriorating. Much of the ship's fine art has also broken down, but the bronze of the Roman goddess Diana from the first-class lounge does remain.
A century has passed, but the Titanic's haunting legacy lives on through the photos that captured its fleeting moments of luxury, innocence, and impending doom. As AI brings these forgotten images back to life, we uncover chilling details: faces frozen in time, a life-saving vest that became a death trap, and a doomed iceberg that sealed their fate. These aren't just pictures. They are fragments of truth that could rewrite history. Join us as we reveal the shocking secrets hidden in 50 unforgettable Titanic photographs, each one a piece of the tragic puzzle that still captivates the world.
I didn't want to die. I didn't see much chance of living, but I was gradually getting frozen up. And by the grace of God, I came across a lifeboat, and they pulled me in.
The Titanic, a ship once considered unsinkable, continues to captivate the world's imagination over a century after its tragic sinking. Beneath the ocean's surface lies a legacy of human tragedy, technological marvels, and countless untold stories, preserved forever in photographs. These images, which have stood the test of time, are not merely static moments frozen in history. Thanks to advancements in artificial intelligence, AI, these photographs now offer us a window into the past with an unprecedented level of detail. AI restoration and enhancement techniques have breathed new life into these images, peeling back the passage of time to reveal faces, objects, and moments that may have once seemed lost to history.
New exclusive photographs, by far the best yet, are in from the Titanic. For most of this century, that huge passenger liner has been a dead ship.
In the frigid depths of the North Atlantic, where light has not penetrated for over a century, lies the most famous shipwreck in human history.
We're going to look at one of the most famous shipwrecks of all time, the focus of all those documentaries and Hollywood movies. But there's one version of Titanic we have never seen until this morning.
One of the most chilling of these images is a photograph of an iceberg, captured by Captain W. Wood of the SS Etonian, just 2 days before the Titanic's fatal collision. As the SS Etonian crossed the Atlantic, Captain Wood took a black and white photograph of a massive iceberg. He meticulously recorded its coordinates that would later be revealed to be just miles away from where the Titanic would collide with an iceberg on the night of April 14, 1912. When AI analysis was applied to this image, it confirmed a striking match between the iceberg and the sketches provided by Titanic survivors. This was a significant development, as it gave additional weight to the theory that this very iceberg may have been the one that sealed the Titanic's fate. Upon reaching New York, Captain Wood had the photograph developed, and he boldly inscribed on it that this iceberg had been the one responsible for the disaster. Forensic analysis of the image, including an examination of its shape and surface pattern, revealed remarkable accuracy when compared to historical accounts. This photograph has become one of the few artifacts directly linked to the ship's tragic end, further cementing its place as a key piece in the puzzle of the Titanic's final hours. Yet, the iceberg is just one part of the story. Another key image that has captured the world's attention is the photograph of the Titanic's life vests. The ship was equipped with over 2,000 cork and canvas life vests, more than enough to accommodate every passenger and crew member aboard. At first glance, these life vests may seem like a simple and practical safety feature. However, photographs taken of these vests tell a much darker story. The vests, made of heavy cork pads sewn into canvas, were secured by nothing more than thin fabric ties. Survivors recalled the vest's buoyancy being problematic. When worn during jumps into the freezing waters of the Atlantic, the vests had a tendency to snap the necks of passengers or knock them unconscious upon impact. These life vests, while they did manage to sustain some passengers long enough to be rescued, were far from the life-saving equipment they were meant to be. Tragically, many passengers died from exposure or failed to survive the impact of the icy waters. A handful of original Titanic life jackets have survived, still worn and weathered by the sea. In fact, one such life vest was sold at auction for $119,000, serving as a somber reminder of the human cost of the disaster. Among the many photographs that capture the last moments of life on board the Titanic, one of the most poignant images is that of a young boy named Robert Douglas Spedden. Just days before the ship sank, 6-year-old Robert, a first-class passenger, was photographed playing with a spinning top on the Titanic's deck. This seemingly innocent moment is now preserved in stunning detail, thanks to AI enhancement. The image reveals fine details that were previously unnoticed: the weave of Robert's coat, the polished wood beneath his feet, and even the ship's railings reflected in the deck. This photograph, once just a fleeting moment, now speaks volumes about the life that once thrived aboard the Titanic. Tragically, Robert slept through the crash that claimed the lives of more than 1,500 people. When he woke, his nurse told him they would see the stars, referring to the lifeboat ride to safety. Robert did escape, but only 3 years later, he died in one of the earliest recorded automobile accidents in Maine. His story, preserved through this single photograph, serves as a heartbreaking reminder of the fragility of life. Another striking photograph that has been brought to life through AI restoration is that of the Titanic's gymnasium. Located on the boat deck near the grand staircase, the Titanic's gymnasium was a marvel of its time. Passengers could use electric camels, rowing machines, and stationary bicycles, all a testament to the luxury and innovation that characterized the ship. An enhancement of surviving photographs reveals remarkable details: the scuffs on the gymnasium floor, the smudges on the mirrors, and the bright oak paneling. These details paint a vivid picture of the energy and excitement that once filled the space. The gymnasium was a place of recreation and relaxation for the first-class passengers, who paid a shilling for a session with the physical instructor, T.W. Macaulay. Macaulay, who perished in the sinking, was said to have kept his post in the gymnasium right up until the very last moments of the ship's voyage. A restoration of these images has allowed us to see the ship's interior as it once was, with an authenticity that makes it feel as though we are stepping back in time. As much as these photographs offer us glimpses of the luxury and comfort that passengers aboard the Titanic once enjoyed, they also reveal the ship's fatal flaws. The photographs of Titanic's lifeboats tell a tragic story of underpreparedness and negligence. The ship was equipped with 20 lifeboats, enough for barely half the passengers on board. Yet, according to outdated maritime laws, this was considered adequate. AI analysis of photographs taken of the lifeboats reveals that they were stowed neatly beside the bridge, awaiting use. However, more than half of these lifeboats were launched partially filled, as officers feared the lowering apparatus might be compromised if fully loaded. Additionally, an emergency lifeboat drill had been scheduled for that morning, but it was inexplicably canceled. This failure to conduct a proper drill and the lack of sufficient lifeboats were key factors in the catastrophe that unfolded that night. The photographs we now have of the Titanic and its tragic story are more than just historical records. They are time capsules, holding secrets, details, and stories that have been unlocked through the power of AI. These enhanced images allow us to witness the Titanic in ways that were previously unimaginable, offering us a deeper understanding of the ship's legacy. From the iceberg that doomed it to the life vests that failed to save lives, these photographs are more than just images. They are fragments of truth, piecing together a history that continues to haunt us over a century later. As we continue to uncover new details through AI restoration, the Titanic's story becomes even more powerful, revealing not just the history of a ship, but the lives lost and the mysteries that remain. The story of the Titanic is full of many moments, both tragic and poignant, that continue to resonate with people around the world. Among these, the story of the Titanic's life vests stands out as one of the most chilling reminders of the ship's flawed preparations. At first glance, the life vests aboard the Titanic might seem like a simple, albeit tragic, artifact of the disaster. After all, there were enough life vests for all the passengers and crew members, with more than 2,000 in total. These cork and canvas vests were meant to be the lifeline for those unlucky enough to find themselves cast into the freezing waters of the Atlantic. However, the reality of these life vests, as captured in photographs and recorded by survivors, is far darker than anyone could have anticipated. Photographs of these life vests reveal their poorly designed construction. The vests, made from heavy cork pads sewn into canvas, were secured only by thin fabric ties, which were not strong enough to withstand the forces of the ocean. Survivors of the Titanic recalled the life vests' buoyancy, which, instead of offering them the safety they had hoped for, became a deadly hazard. When passengers leaped into the freezing waters, the vests would often snap their necks or knock them unconscious on impact. While some passengers survived long enough to be rescued, many others perished due to exposure or the trauma caused by the initial impact of the water. This dark reality is brought into sharp focus through photographs of the life vests, which have been restored and enhanced using AI technology. The enhancements allow us to see not only the vest's design flaws, but also their tragic consequences. While some life vests did manage to keep people afloat long enough to be rescued, they were far from the life-saving equipment they were meant to be. In fact, many passengers who survived the initial impact were later found to have died from hypothermia or other causes before they could be rescued. One of the most poignant pieces of evidence of the Titanic's failure in this regard is the few remaining life vests that have survived to this day. These weathered vests, some of which have been sold at auction for staggering amounts, serve as a stark reminder of the human cost of the disaster. One particular life vest, which sold for $119,000, stands as a testament to the ship's tragic flaw in safety preparations. As we move beyond the life vests, we come to another haunting photograph from the Titanic's final days. The image of a young boy named Robert Douglas Spedden. Robert, a 6-year-old first-class passenger, was photographed playing with a spinning top on the Titanic's deck just days before the ship sank. The AI-enhanced image of this moment brings to life the fine details of Robert's coat, the polished wood of the deck beneath his feet, and the ship's railings reflected in the surface. This photograph, once a fleeting moment of innocence, now holds a deeper meaning. Robert's story, like so many others aboard the Titanic, is one of both joy and tragedy. Robert slept through the crash and awoke only to be told by his nurse that they would see the stars. He escaped the sinking in a lifeboat, only to tragically die 3 years later in one of the earliest recorded automobile accidents in Maine. The image of Robert Spedden playing with his spinning top captures the contrast between the carefree moments of childhood and the horrific events that were about to unfold. This moment, now preserved through the use of AI, serves as a reminder of the innocence lost that night. As the Titanic's passengers enjoyed their final moments on board, unaware of the impending disaster, the ship's decks became the setting for countless such personal stories, all of which were interrupted by the iceberg that would soon seal their fate. AI restoration allows us to see these moments in ways that were never before possible, bringing to life the memories of those who were on board and offering us a deeper connection to their stories. Another powerful image of life aboard the Titanic comes from the ship's gymnasium. The Titanic's gymnasium, located on the boat deck near the grand staircase, was a marvel for its time. Passengers had access to electric camels, rowing machines, and stationary bicycles. This space was one of the many luxuries the Titanic offered, designed to provide its passengers with the highest level of comfort and recreation. The gymnasium was not just a place to exercise. It was a symbol of the ship's opulence and its commitment to providing first-class amenities. Photographs of the gymnasium, once dull and faded, have now been restored through AI technology to reveal remarkable details. The bright oak paneling, the smudges on the mirrors, and the scuffs on the floor all speak to the life that filled the gymnasium in the days leading up to the disaster. These enhanced images show passengers exercising and using the space, capturing the energy and excitement that once filled the room. The AI enhancements have breathed new life into these photographs, allowing us to see the gymnasium in all its splendor. Gymnasium was a space where first-class passengers could pay a shilling for a session with the ship's physical instructor, T.W. Macaulay. Macaulay was said to have kept his post in the gymnasium until the eve of the sinking, when he perished along with the ship. The AI enhancements have allowed us to better appreciate the luxury of the space, providing a glimpse into the world that passengers once enjoyed aboard the Titanic. This too serves as a stark reminder of the opulence that was lost when the ship sank and the lives that were taken far too soon. Yet, as we examine these luxurious spaces, we are also reminded of the ship's critical flaws, particularly when it comes to the lifeboats. Photographs taken of the Titanic's lifeboats reveal a ship that was woefully unprepared for a disaster of this magnitude. While the ship was equipped with 20 lifeboats, this number was barely enough to accommodate half of the passengers and crew on board. Even more troubling was the fact that the lifeboats that were launched were often only partially filled. Officers aboard the Titanic were afraid that the lowering apparatus might become compromised if the boats were filled to capacity, leaving many passengers with no means of escape. AI analysis of the photographs of the lifeboats reveals just how poorly the ship was prepared for an emergency. The lifeboats were neatly stowed beside the bridge, ready to be used in the event of an emergency. However, despite having enough lifeboats for all passengers, many of these boats were not filled to capacity. This failure to properly use the lifeboats on that fateful night meant that many people who could have been saved were left behind to perish. A planned lifeboat drill for the morning of the disaster was abruptly cancelled, further compounding the chaos and confusion that would follow. The photographs of the lifeboats, enhanced through AI technology, serve as a tragic reminder of the ship's unpreparedness and the lives that were lost as a result. The Titanic story is one of unimaginable tragedy, but it is also one of technological wonder and human ambition. The ship's construction, the luxury afforded to its passengers, and the human moments captured in photographs all serve as a testament to the ship's grandeur. Yet, as we examine these images through the lens of AI, we are forced to confront the reality of the disaster. The life vest that failed to save lives, the gymnasium filled with people unaware of their fate, and the lifeboats that were underutilized all speak to the ship's tragic flaws. These AI-enhanced photographs offer us a deeper understanding of the Titanic and the lives it affected, providing a clearer view of the tragedy that unfolded that fateful night. Each image, restored and brought to life through AI, offers us a new piece of the puzzle, bringing us closer to understanding the full story of the Titanic and the lessons we can learn from it. The tragedy of the Titanic was not only a shipwreck, but the end of many lives, some of which have been captured in poignant moments preserved through photographs. Among these haunting images, the photographs from the Titanic's launch day offer a powerful glimpse into the excitement and optimism surrounding the ship before its ill-fated voyage. On May 31, 1911, more than 100,000 people gathered in Belfast to witness the launch of the Titanic into the River Lagan. These large crowds were filled with excitement and anticipation for what was then the largest and most luxurious ship in the world. Photographs taken that day, once restored using AI, bring this moment to life in ways that were not possible before. These enhanced images allow us to see the faces of the spectators, their expressions full of hope and awe as they looked at the magnificent ship. AI facial recognition has even helped match some of these faces to later photographs taken in Queenstown, just 3 days before the Titanic's final departure. In these images, we can spot a man who, puzzlingly, has no record of being a passenger or crew member. This image, now enhanced, captures the fleeting moments of excitement before the tragedy unfolded, reminding us of the innocence and anticipation that surrounded the Titanic during its brief time as a symbol of pride and luxury. As we continue to explore the photographs of the Titanic, we come across another fascinating image of the ship's second-class dining room. The Titanic's second-class dining room, located on D deck, could seat nearly 400 passengers at long mahogany tables bolted to the floor. The second-class accommodations on the Titanic were some of the best of their time, offering a high level of comfort and service. Photographs of the dining room, enhanced by AI, reveal deep crimson upholstery and intricate wood carvings, adding a layer of elegance and sophistication to what would otherwise have been a simple dining area. In one of the enhanced images, the date April 10th is carved faintly into the wood paneling, possibly the work of a passenger who survived the sinking. This subtle detail adds an eerie layer of significance to the photograph, marking the time when the Titanic was still in its prime, a ship of luxury, elegance, and grandeur. The second-class passengers on the Titanic were often traveling to start new lives in America, and their experience aboard the ship was a mix of luxury and routine. After dinner in the dining room, passengers would often enjoy music played by a band. The room's elegance and comfort were a far cry from the chaos that would later ensue, and the AI-enhanced images of the dining room offer a glimpse into the daily life of these passengers, who had no idea of the fate that awaited them. These images serve as a reminder of the ordinary moments aboard the ship, which were suddenly and tragically cut short by the collision with the iceberg. Another iconic area of the Titanic was its first-class reading and writing room. This space, located on a deck near the lounge, was meant to be a quiet retreat for first-class passengers, mostly women. It was furnished with silk-upholstered chairs, tall windows, and Georgian-style decor. The photographs taken of this room, once faded and indistinct, have been restored, using AI to reveal stunning details of the room's elegance. In one of these enhanced images, a faint silhouette of a seated figure is visible at the far window, a mysterious presence who remains unidentified. This figure, captured in the final days before the ship sank, adds an element of intrigue to an otherwise tranquil space. The reading and writing room was intended as a place where passengers could escape from the hustle and bustle of the ship, but the presence of this mysterious figure suggests that there may have been more going on in the room than meets the eye. The use of AI to enhance these photographs brings out the fine details of the room, making it feel as though we are stepping into the Titanic's luxurious interior, just days before disaster struck. As the photographs continue to reveal the luxury of the Titanic, we are also reminded of the ship's fatal flaws. One of the most significant of these flaws was the inadequate number of lifeboats. The Titanic carried 20 lifeboats, which were technically enough to meet outdated maritime regulations, but not enough to save all the passengers aboard. The ship's officers were aware of the lifeboat's limited capacity, and a photograph taken by Reverend F.F. Brown before the disaster shows the lifeboats neatly stowed beside the bridge, ready for use. AI-enhanced images confirm that, had the lifeboats been filled to capacity, they could have saved everyone on board. Tragically, many of the lifeboats that were launched were only partially filled, as the officers feared the lowering apparatus might fail under the weight of a fully loaded boat. The ship's officers had the opportunity to save more lives, but their hesitation and fear led to the tragic loss of life that night. The Titanic's lifeboats were part of a larger system of safety measures that were never properly tested. Earlier that morning, a lifeboat drill had been scheduled but was canceled, a decision that would later be criticized by historians and survivors alike. The lifeboats that were launched were only partially filled, and the officers' hesitation to use them properly led to many passengers being left behind. The AI-enhanced photographs of the lifeboats serve as a stark reminder of the ship's inadequacy in preparing for an emergency of this scale, as well as the lives that could have been saved had the ship's officers taken the necessary steps. Another significant moment in Titanic's history is captured in a photograph of the ship's hull under construction at the Harland and Wolff shipyard. The construction of the Titanic involved the use of over 3 million iron and steel rivets to secure the ship's plates. However, recent research has suggested that a coal bunker fire before the Titanic's maiden voyage may have weakened part of the hull. A thermal imaging of a photograph of the hull reveals faint heat distortion along one section of the plating, possibly in the very area where the ship would later collide with the iceberg. This theory, based on analysis of the ship's construction photos, suggests that the Titanic's fate may have been sealed before it even set sail. While this theory is still debated by historians, it adds a chilling layer of complexity to the disaster, as it implies that the ship's design and construction were compromised before it even left port. As we examine the photographs of the Titanic, we are also reminded of the people who made up the ship's crew. One of the most fascinating images is a candid photograph of Captain Edward J. Smith, taken during a deck inspection in the days leading up to the sinking. An enhancement of this image reveals two crew members in the background, later matched through genealogy, to descendants who were unaware that their relatives had served on the ship. Captain Smith, who had a reputation for being a calm and capable leader, is seen here in a rare moment of quiet authority. Yet, just days later, he would be faced with one of the most devastating crises in maritime history. His decision to cancel the lifeboat drill and his actions during the sinking of the ship have been the subject of much debate, and this photograph of him during a routine deck inspection offers a stark contrast to the chaos and confusion that would unfold in the final hours of the Titanic's voyage. Another striking photograph captures a rare moment of joy among the Titanic's passengers. In the photograph, children can be seen chasing a ball across the deck, a moment of carefree play before the disaster struck. AI enhancement of the image reveals a faint white starline logo on the bull, suggesting that it may have been a promotional item given to young passengers. This image, filled with innocence and joy, serves as a stark contrast to the horror that was about to unfold. Many of the children aboard the Titanic were traveling with their families to start new lives in America, and their laughter and playfulness were tragically cut short by the collision with the iceberg. The AI restoration of this photograph helps us remember the innocence of the children aboard the ship, who were unaware of the tragedy that awaited them. The story of the Titanic is one of overwhelming tragedy, but it is also a story of luxury, ambition, and the human cost of technological progress. The photographs that have been preserved over the years offer us a window into the lives of the people aboard the Titanic, capturing moments of everyday life, grandeur, and even terror. As we move through the final hours of the Titanic's voyage, the images take on a deeper, more poignant significance. Through the use of AI restoration and enhancement, these photographs reveal not only the ship's opulence and the lives of the passengers, but also the dramatic final moments before disaster struck. One of the most iconic images that captures the Titanic in its prime is a photograph taken on the ship's final departure from Queenstown, now known as Cope. In this photograph, passengers can be seen leaning over the ship's rails as tenders deliver a final cargo and mail. The image, when enhanced by AI, reveals a crate marked with the word urgent, a mysterious detail that has yet to be fully explained. Queenstown was the Titanic's last port of call before it headed across the Atlantic toward New York, and for many passengers, it would be their final glimpse of land. This photograph, full of life and routine, now stands as a haunting reminder of the calm before the storm, a peaceful scene that would soon be shattered by the impact with the iceberg. The use of AI analysis to enhance this image gives us a clearer view of the moment before the ship's final departure, adding a layer of complexity to our understanding of the Titanic's voyage. In the bustle of passengers boarding and the final loading of cargo, there was no way to know that within just a few days, the ship would be at the bottom of the ocean, a victim of its own hubris and the unpredictable forces of nature. As we examine the moments that led up to the disaster, another haunting photograph comes from the ship's smoking room. The Titanic's first-class smoking room was a place where men could relax, play cards, and enjoy the company of others. The room was lavishly decorated with inlaid mahogany, stained glass windows, and a fireplace topped with a painting by Norman Wilkinson titled Approach to the New World. The photograph taken of this room before the sinking, restored through AI colorization, brings to life the warm glow of the room, just as survivors had described it. The lighting, The warmth and the comfort of the space provide a stark contrast to the chaos that would unfold later that night. The passengers who gathered in the smoking room, enjoying their last moments of comfort, could not have known that soon they would be thrust into the nightmare of the Titanic's sinking. For many, the smoking room was one of the last places where life continued as usual before the catastrophe. The photograph of the smoking room serves as a reminder of the luxury and comfort that the Titanic offered its first-class passengers. The ship's first-class accommodations were among the finest in the world, with every detail meticulously designed to offer the ultimate in comfort and elegance. From the grand staircase to the dining rooms, lounges, and even the smoking room, the Titanic was a floating palace, built to cater to the world's wealthiest and most influential people. Yet, as we look back at the photographs, we are reminded of the fragility of human life and the uncertainty of the future. The smoking room, once a place of leisure and relaxation, became one of the last refuges for those who would face the unimaginable horror of the Titanic's sinking. As the night of April 14, 1912 wore on, the Titanic's passengers were unaware that their world was about to come crashing down around them. One of the most striking images from that night is a photograph of the ship's officers gathered together for a final group portrait before the disaster. The officers, in their formal uniforms, exude a sense of confidence and authority, a stark contrast to the panic and fear that would soon grip the ship. AI facial recognition has been used to identify a previously unknown man in the group, a member of the crew whose identity was not recorded in the ship's official records. This mysterious figure adds an element of intrigue to the photograph, raising questions about the full extent of the Titanic's crew and the events that took place in the hours leading up to the collision with the iceberg. The officers in the photograph were charged with the responsibility of navigating the ship safely across the Atlantic, yet they were faced with a challenge that no one could have anticipated. Their decisions, both during the voyage and in the aftermath of the collision, have been the subject of much debate, and this photograph captures them in a rare moment of calm before they were thrust into one of the greatest disasters in maritime history. Another photograph that has been brought to life through AI enhancement shows the Titanic's crew gathered on the ship's deck for a muster drill. At first glance, the scene seems ordinary, a group of crew members standing together, waiting for the drill to begin. However, when the image is enhanced, AI analysis reveals a faint image of a folded paper in one crew member's hand. This small detail has sparked speculation among historians, who believe it could have been an unlocked iceberg warning that was passed along to the crew. The cancellation of the lifeboat drill that morning has been widely criticized, and this photograph serves as a reminder of the failures in preparation that contributed to the Titanic's tragic fate. The crew's failure to follow proper safety procedures, coupled with their lack of preparation for the disaster, played a significant role in the high death toll that resulted from the sinking. As the Titanic made its way toward its final destination, the photographs continue to reveal moments of life on board. One such image shows the Titanic's third-class passengers in the general room, a lively social space where passengers could play cards, sing, and talk. The room was furnished with wooden tables and benches, and the photograph captures the warmth and camaraderie that existed among the third-class passengers. AI enhancements reveal subtle details, such as an unopened suitcase in the corner of the room, possibly left behind due to strict luggage inspections. For many of these passengers, the Titanic represented the chance to start a new life in America, and they were filled with excitement and hope for what lay ahead. Yet, as we know, their dreams were tragically cut short when the ship collided with the iceberg. This photograph, enhanced by AI, brings these passengers to life, offering a glimpse into the humanity and resilience of those who were the most vulnerable during the disaster. As the Titanic began its fateful voyage, the photographs taken of its interior spaces serve as a powerful reminder of the ship's opulence and the lives that were lost when it sank. From the grand staircase to the dining rooms, the reading rooms to the lifeboat deck, the Titanic was a symbol of luxury, a ship unlike any other. Yet, as we have seen through AI-enhanced photographs, the Titanic was also a ship full of flaws in its design.
its safety measures, and its ability to protect its passengers in an emergency. The photographs of the lifeboats, the crew, and the passengers reveal a ship that was unprepared for the disaster that would strike, a ship that was doomed long before the iceberg was encountered. The Titanic's final moments are preserved in photographs that capture the despair and chaos that unfolded as the ship sank. One such image shows the Titanic's crew still at their posts, working to keep the engines running and the lights on as the ship began to sink. AI motion blur reduction has been used to bring out the faint outlines of steam curling from the pressure valves behind the crew, highlighting the extreme conditions under which they worked. Despite the growing panic and the impending disaster, many of the crew members stayed at their posts, sacrificing their own lives to keep the ship's lights on and the pumps running. These final moments, captured in the enhanced photographs, serve as a testament to the bravery and selflessness of the Titanic's crew, who faced a situation beyond anyone's imagination. In the final hours of the Titanic's voyage, one of the most iconic photographs shows the ship's lifeboats being lowered into the icy waters of the Atlantic. The lifeboat davits, which were designed to lower the boats into the water, reveal subtle flaws when examined through AI inspection. One of the ropes used to lower the lifeboats is shown to have a kink, a flaw that was later noted in official inquiries. This image, enhanced by AI, captures the tragic irony of the Titanic's lifeboat system. While the davits were capable of lowering the lifeboats, they were not fully utilized, and many of the lifeboats that were launched were not filled to capacity. This failure to properly use the lifeboats on that fateful night meant that many passengers were left behind, unable to escape the sinking ship. As the Titanic sank into the ocean, the photographs taken that night serve as a chilling reminder of the ship's legacy. From the grand interior spaces to the tragic images of the lifeboats, the crew, and the passengers, the photographs offer us a glimpse into a world that was lost beneath the waves. Through the use of AI restoration, these images have been brought back to life, offering us a clearer view of the Titanic and its tragic end. These enhanced photographs provide a unique opportunity to understand the magnitude of the disaster, to see the faces of those who lived through it, and to remember the lessons that the Titanic story continues to teach us today. The images may have been taken over a century ago, but they remain as powerful and haunting as ever, reminding us of the lives lost, the mistakes made, and the legacy of the Titanic that continues to captivate the world.